Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the September IPE webinar series. My name is Shawn Land. I am the Manager of Academic Operations for the School of Health Professions, and I'm grateful to be able to introduce Dr. LaDon Jones, who will be our speaker for this evening. Dr. Jones is the Academic Program Director for the Graduate Program in Health Administration at at National University. LaDon has more than 30 years of experience in the healthcare industry, and his area of expertise is in strategy and organizational behavior and design. He began as a patient care assistant and later graduated as a registered nurse. LaDon earned his master's in health administration and PhD in administration health services at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He also served in various leadership roles as Vice Chancellor for Community Affairs at the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center, Vice President of Technology and Instructional Resources, and Dean of Students at Baptist College of Health Technology and Instructional Resources, and Dean of Students at Baptist College of Health Sciences. LaDon was a fellow in the American Council on Education Council of Fellows, and Dr. Jones has served on a number of community boards and activities, serving as chair at the Memphis and Shelby County Workforce Investment Board, Porter Lee Children's Center, and Leadership Memphis. LaDon Jones currently serves on the board of Villa Musica, which is a nonprofit providing musical instruction for many youth who do not have the resources to pay for them. Dr. Jones believes that music can bring communities together and that music helps to support the development of the full human potential. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jones. Thank you, Dr. Jones, for joining us.
Thank you. That makes me sound really important, but anyway, thank you. I'm actually excited to be here to share one of my great passions, that's to study abroad. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm assuming you can hear me. If you can, thank you, Dr. Eggleston. You can see the screen as well. So I promised, and my presentation is titled Study Abroad Programs, a National Treasure, a little play on words there. I promise that I will use the 3 B's of presenting, which is to be brief. I'll try to be good, but you'll tell me that later after. And then in about 20 minutes or so, I'll be done, and hopefully we'll have questions, and this will be meaningful to you. Thank you, Shawn. So I guess the first question I have to ask, and let me just stop for a second. I'm going to share some. I'm going to share my screen again, but let me just 1 second make sure that I have the optimize the sound there. There we go. That's going to work. All right, so it should work. So my question is really, why are these students happy? And I think it's best that they tell you in their own words. Particularly, we have one of our former students who is featured in this video. This is a video that the International Summer University in Germany put together. So here we go.
The International Summer University brings students from 5 continents to Osnabrück, and during 3 weeks they work with German students on state-of-the-art topics and explore very practice-oriented academic topics.
I feel like the lessons have been really fun and very informative. I've learned a lot about the German history. I really like the campus. It's very modern and clean.
The lessons here have been very unique from home, and they have been much more interesting and have been very interactive.
Although we have some requirements like people have to attend the sessions and have to be on time, but overall it's a very relaxed and a very supportive atmosphere. So students have no problems to raise their hands, to ask questions, and are all working really well together.
The academic experience is enriched by many field trips and site visits in order to bring the classroom experience out to the real world.
For me, Osnabrück is a really pleasant place to study. It's a nice low-key, quiet area where the people are very friendly, the food's great, it's not too expensive, and it's sort of central enough to visit all the places that you might want to visit.
International Summer University is a great program to advance academic skills, to build a personal network, and to build cultural experience and intercultural competences.
One of the best things about this placement is the people, the tutors, and the professors all involved. They put a lot of time and dedication to all the students.
It's a very fun experience and it's very unique.
So now you see why they were happy. And so I'll refer back to that video and talk a little bit about some of the interprofessional activities that the students engaged in. And Sean, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I won't spend a lot of time introducing myself, but just to let you know that I was born in the South, in Mississippi, moved to Memphis when I was about 10 years old, started in healthcare as an orderly. Of course, as you mentioned, became a registered nurse, and then worked in the same hospital where I started as a patient care assistant, eventually went back as a vice president, and then moved on as a vice chancellor, and of course found my way to San Diego here at National University. A little bit more about me. Many of you know that I'm a musician. On the weekends, I get a chance to do a lot of singing, enjoy that, and it reaches people in different ways, and sometimes the logic and the cognition does. But I'm also very interested in research on music and health. There's some interesting new research emerging now on music and Alzheimer's patients. And so right now I'm involved in working with some assisted living facilities here in California to determine whether or not actually this music actually will impact their Alzheimer's in a very positive way. Of course, international teaching, which I'll speak to, and that's really the purpose of this talk. And then, of course, I love movies and books, and would love to talk to anybody about anything Star Wars, Star Trek, Dune, all of that. So very much into that. So let's get to it. First of all, I do want to just take this opportunity to special thanks to Dr. Gina Piani and Dr. Brandon Eggleston. Dr. Piani really, when I started here at National, was actually involved in study abroad and taking students. And of course, Dr. Eggleston was doing the same thing, and was very, very fortunate that Brandon reached out to me and invited me to do a guest lecture in Osnabrück. And of course, I'm still going to Osnabrück years later. I get a chance to do that. So I thank you, Brandon, for that. Let's just get to it right now. COH 500 and COH 550 are courses that are within our school, and they are started being approved in the catalog. And so these courses are the vehicle which we can use for students to attend study abroad programs in other countries. And particularly the study abroad in Osnabrück counts as an internship for the students who go and take that course. Currently, we've had about 133 students who've attended study abroad programs since 2015, all the way through 2023. So we've had a good track record of that. And what I'll do is I'll try to give you a little bit of right brain and a little bit of left brain. So the left brain is the facts there you see on the left, and then the right brain, of course, are the pictures there. These are some of the students, and these are some of our students and some of the students who are from Australia and Germany, and they're listening to an insurance executive talk about health insurance in Germany and the differences between the German system and the United States. About 60% of our students who attend study abroad are female, 40% are military, and about 80% are graduate students. Although this year, a cohort in 2023 actually had 2 baccalaureate students who attended. And then of course the pictures there, and the top picture is a hospital where the students are right outside of a hospital in Germany, and this is a cardiac hospital, and the person there in the blue suit is a physician and the hospital CEO. And you can see me there, and this people, the individuals behind me are all of our students. Those are our students who came to Osnabrück, and they were on their way in for a day-long tour of the hospital and some discussions about healthcare and healthcare costs and quality. Down at the bottom, as you can see, again, another cohort, I think that was cohort number 18, right outside of the Mensa, which is a cafeteria. And they had just finished their presentation. And then, of course, cohort 23, we just took pictures there right in front of the facility. In terms of the past, from 2013 to 2019, we had study abroad, not only in Germany, but in Cuba, in Peru, in Uganda, and of course in Osnabrück, Germany. This is just another picture of the students who are at one of the hospital waiting rooms, again with the hospital CEO. Just a little bit more about some of the history, just so you'll know and have a little context of how study abroad actually began here at National back in 2014. The study abroad committee formed and proposed to the university. And then in 2015, 2016, all of the study abroad programs were managed by the Dean's Office and NU faculty. In 2016, the Office of International Affairs appointed, and then there was a International Study Office that was created. And then, of course, all of the paperwork and all of the permissions and all of that ran through that particular office. And of course, as we all know, in 2020, we had COVID, right? So all travel was suspended. And study abroad were placed on hold. In fact, the international office was actually dismantled. And so, of course, that was a sad time for me because it seemed as if we were not doing study abroad, and maybe it was in jeopardy whether we would actually do it again. But so I heard a presentation from Dean Jones. Of course, this picture is a famous ice cream shop in Osnabrück. It's called Fontanella, and everybody goes there. So here are some of our students there enjoying that. But I did have a chance to listen to Dean Jones and talking about our mission. Of course, you've seen this, and it just hit me right then that our mission is really aligned with study abroad. If you look at that, to deliver accessible, world-class student experiences. And so world-class student experiences, student success, all those things ring a bell to me. So I approached Dr. Dean Jones and made a presentation, and with her support, as well as support from other staff, we were able to get study abroad reinstated, which was wonderful. And we were able to get a class actually this year and went in July. Let me just move on a little bit. In terms of interprofessional activities, which is really kind of the point, I think, for today, as you can look at the picture to the right, all of those students are in the blue. T-shirts are in for our Australian students. The rest of the students are either German students or they're students from the United States. And if you'll notice that there are flags behind them, the students had just finished doing what we call the Healthcare Summit. And basically, the students come together in teams and they basically talk about very important topics like healthcare costs, how healthcare is delivered in different countries, and really kind of have this organic kind of discussion about how we can improve healthcare in not only the United States, but in Germany and in Australia. The students actually attend many field trips. They actually go to some of the companies, spend time with the executives and the staff there. Students also engage in a fair number of intercultural experiences, including a weekend tour and trip to Berlin. They also go to Amsterdam. And we also place the students in teams early on. So the students are not just working in isolation for other students in other countries. We mix them together and they learn from each other, and they actually develop relationships and friendships really that exist even to today. So for my class, I usually focus on three things, and the course that I teach is called Global Healthcare Management. And so for my students, I'm teaching them self-awareness, also exposing them to cultural awareness, and then academic activities throughout the 3, almost 4 weeks that they're studying abroad. And so just a little bit about the self-awareness. As you know, some of you know, I'm really big on the DISC. The DISC is a behavioral assessment that's highly valid, highly reliable. So I make sure that all the students get the DISC, and then we put the students in teams based on their DISC profile. And the whole point is not just for them to understand themselves, but to understand how to work with other people. To me, that's a core leadership belief, and it's a core skill competency that any leader needs to have. The students also, after every field trip, they actually create and they produce reflection papers to talk to them and ask them what are their big takeaways, what are some of the things that they will inculcate in terms of coming back to the United States, and how will they behave in a little bit different manner. So the self-awareness part is really big. As you can see, the students, these are some pictures in Amsterdam, in the giant Amsterdam shoe, I guess. In terms of cultural awareness, as I mentioned before, we assign the students in the teams, and they spend most of their time either working with those students and working on projects together. There's also built into the curriculum German language and German culture, so the students get a really healthy dose of how Germany came to be, and some basic language, so that even though most of the individuals or the population in Osnabrück, Germany, many of those individuals speak the German language and speak English as well. We want the students to be able to have some language conversation. On the field trips to Berlin, these are just a couple of things, but they attend the Jewish Museum. They go to the Berlin Wall, and they tour around the entire city. There's a guided tour that the students go, and they actually go in and they see and understand some of the buildings and some of the culture there. And then, of course, academic activities, they're not just going just to have fun, although they do have a lot of fun, but they're there to actually learn. So many of the students, we have these major presentations that we work with the students, and all of these presentations, these are just a couple of them that students were engaged in this particular cohort. But these students are all working with other students from other countries. So we have them mixed in together, and we feel like that is a very important part of interprofessional activities. For example, the Australian students, most of them are physical therapists, and whereas many of our students are healthcare administrators or public health students. So they get a chance to really talk about the differences. There are different camera angles of healthcare and understanding the differences that way. one of the groups, and I have to just, you see at the bottom bullet point, we asked one of the groups of students, and many of those students were students from NU, to come up with recommendations on how to improve the ISU awareness. And they did such a wonderful job that the dean in Germany asked for a meeting with me to talk about how we can implement some of the recommendations that those students made. So I was really, really pleased that that their work was actually something that was relevant to the leadership in Germany. So again, these students have to do not only group activities, but they also do individual presentations. Of course, they do some case studies. All of this is to help them sharpen their competencies and their skills, whether it be presenting, whether it be critical thinking, whether it's being able to think on your feet. So all of that's included. And then, of course, the papers that they write in the disc. So this particular picture is right outside of a very famous restaurant in Osnabrück. It's called the Weingarten, and it has an interesting history. It was actually in another city in Germany, and they tore it down and put it back together brick by brick in Osnabrück. And so it's really the place to go. And so here are the students that we were actually going in, because I usually take the students out to dinner during their tour in Germany. Yeah. So these are other activities, as I mentioned, the voluntary assisted death. That's something that's very different in other countries, and so the students in the United States wanted to know a lot more about that, about how it actually happens in Australia and in Sweden and other places. And also the other presentation had to do with cost differences between the German system and the US healthcare system. I can tell you that when the students actually go to Germany, they have some preconceived ideas about the German healthcare system and socialism. And generally, after they've gone through the entire ISU, at the end, they're always asking me, how can we bring some of these healthcare ideas back to the United States? So something happens during this time. All right, so what's next? Because the responses from the students are always quite positive. So what I would like to do is I would like to expand the ISU program, actually. I'd like to create, number one, maximize the current participants. And we've already been asked by the dean in Germany to come back next year. So then now that we have a full year basically to recruit students, I think we can continue to make that pipeline one that's sustainable. But I also think that that there are other ISU, and I say ISU, I mean International Summer University. I believe and I hope that we can provide other ISU offerings. And I'm thinking about like intercultural communication, leadership, even AI would be something that would be, I think, would be interesting. We're also in talks right now with individuals here at NU and in Germany, looking at an exchange program where students can come to San Diego to take courses here. We have a 1-month model, and of course we can provide the on-site facilities for that. So these are talks that are kind of in the works. So now I want you to see, this is one more, just a quick video. So what we did is we asked the students, the first video you saw was one that was made by the university, but this one is one that was student kind of driven. And we said, well, what kind of video would you make if you wanted to share a little bit about ISU? So this is this one. It's about 2 minutes. See if it'll play.
If I were to describe my ISU experience in a few words, I would say that it has been very meaningful and it's been very enriching. I've learned so much, not just about physiotherapy, but also about Germany and the other places we've visited, like the Amsterdam. In a nutshell, it's definitely worth the time and money to come here, and everyone should do it.
All right, so this was student driven. All right, so the last thing I want to share with you, and then we'll open it up for questions. I always tell the students the first day of class to seek to expand their comfort zone. And that's the way that they will get the most out of the ISU experience. And of course, they said to me, well, Dr. Jones, what about you? Did you expand your comfort zone? So of course I shared this, and this is like a 40-second video. When I was in Amsterdam, I had met some colleagues there, and we went to a jazz cafe. They call the jazz cafes different. And so they said, oh, you're a singer. Why don't you go up and sing? There was a band actually playing. And I said, opportunity to expand my comfort zone. So at the break, I just walked up to these musicians and I said, hey guys, I'm a musician. And they said, well, what do you sing? I said, I don't know. What can you play? And they said, what about Fly Me to the Moon? I said, sure, I'll do it. So this just happened spontaneously. I had no idea what key we were in or anything like that. So you talk about, I'm pretty much I consider myself a bold person, but this was really kind of making me a little nervous. But here it is. The video is not that great and the audio is not great, but you can see what happens. Now I reached out to some person and grabbed their hand. Here we go now. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. I fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so that really concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I hope the videos were helpful to you. It was really, really difficult to try to put all of the things that we experienced and saw in a PowerPoint presentation. So I tried to use the videos, and but I can tell you that the students, and they were very kind. I've got just many, many notes and many comments from them about what a life-changing experience it was, and how it really cemented their decision to get into healthcare. So that's all I have to share. And I hope if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer some.
Thank you,
So
Dr.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just a quick question. Have you published any of this work? This was a phenomenal experience.
I thought about, I haven't, the answer is no. I thought about that. I just really need to have a tool on the front end to kind of start to get them to talk to me about their experiences, because it's really been quite extraordinary, quite frankly. The students learn so much, and they really do. It makes me give a warm feeling really about the future, especially for healthcare, because many of these students are committed, and and I have to say, Gloria, that it makes me very proud of national students, because they compete very well with the other students, that's the thing that I have to take away, at least for me right now. So, but no, I'd love to talk to you about maybe publishing something in the future. Be great.
Okay, Oh, I'm happy to help.
Thank you. I think Peggy, you had a question, maybe?
Thank you, LaDon. This has been awesome. This is so you. It's just everything about it is so you. It's so professional. It's so visionary and engaging, and it's just so you. I am thrilled every time one of my students goes with you. It's just wonderful. My question is, what is the difference between COH 500? I know that's the one that was created for all of our students, but 500, 550, and then doesn't Gina have a 599? What should I be guiding my students towards?
I would say COH 500. COH 550 is really for students, kind of MPH students, because they have a different set of competencies. So those students have, their competencies are a little bit different. So for their assignments, I'm looking at their competencies rather than the competencies for the health administration. So very minor, but important. So your students would be qualified for COH 500. And let me just tell you, Peggy, I had two of your students, and they competed very well. They did very well. They were baccalaureate students, and their presentations were spot on. And they were, you would have been proud of them.
Well, thank you for sharing that, LaDon. And some of these bachelor students, they really, kick it up a notch. I mean, their work is very impressive. That's why I love doing what I do, and it's so nice to have somebody like you doing what you do. So thank you for supporting students that way.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This has been lovely.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Jones, I just want to kind of follow up. One of the reasons I invited you to talk is obviously I know about the great opportunities that you've been able to share with National University students with this, but is that this program involves all types of interprofessional education, in that the program has two types of courses. There's the main course, which Dr. Jones teaches about healthcare systems, which has students from a variety of health professions programs, both at National University as well as potentially other universities. But then there's interprofessional education amongst all of the students, variety, all the backgrounds, taking all the major areas. They're taking the German language and culture courses, and then they're going on those field experiences and trips together. So what are some ideas that you think we could do that at National University? Because part of, I think one of the challenges that we have is that we design our courses for our program. They design their courses and for one specific set of students. They design this so that it can fit a lot of people. So a lot of people could enroll in this course. So what are some thoughts you have about how this could be done maybe at National University, whether you want to have a program at National, or maybe how could we maybe just expand some of our courses so that, we could have people from different majors in different courses? You're muted right now, LaDon. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Sorry. That was a great segue, because as I mentioned before, on my way out the door from Germany, I got a chance to speak with the dean there, and she is very much interested in expanding the ISU experience, what that means, and that it could be individuals on this call or others at National who may have some interest in some type of ISU right now. What the course I teach, as you know, is global healthcare management. But there are other courses. There's a course in global economics. There's a course in food services. There's a course in physiotherapy. And so I think it's a two-part answer. First of all, I think we have the green light, if we wanted to, from NU, expand the ISU in Germany and go there, if there's some ideas. But I think more germane to your question, and I'm going to mention Dr. McNeil, because she and I have talked about this in the past, developing a virtual hospital here. I still think that is something that we can still do. I think, given what's happening with the nursing and all of I call it the toys that they have, they have so many different pieces of technology. But what happens, as you know, is we train our students in health administration, and nursing trains their students, and MPH has their students, and they don't really meet each other or the other disciplines until they graduate, right? And then they start working in a hospital. Why not have a virtual hospital where you could almost simulate a hospital setting, and you could have all of those disciplines kind of interacting with each other? You could actually use technology. You don't have to build a building. I mean, we've got some space, but with technology and with AI and with all of the new things that are out there, and I know I mentioned Dr. McNeil because she's kind of on the forefront of a lot of that. We could actually create that kind of environment, Brandon, and then create scenarios where those students would have to work together. When an administrator would have to sit down with a nurse and say, oh, so what I do impacts you. And then maybe someone from MPH could say, and by the way, I've got some data on your population, and here's what your hospital should be focused on. I mean, why not do that in school rather than wait until they graduate? So I think that is the way to go. And it's going to take the folks on this call, on this Hollywood Squares, I guess, called Zoom, to really help make that happen. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think we can definitely do something more better than what we're doing now. So
You're
Yeah.
spot on. Oh, sorry, Brandon. Yeah, we are looking to develop a virtual hospital, and we'll make sure that you're on the ground floor of setting that up.
all right. We'd love to have our health administration students help with, the design of that and all of that, because that's kind of what they do, right? So yes, that'd be great. Any other comments from me? I either think that must mean I did a really, really great job, or people got stuff they got to do. Just kidding.
You did a really great job, and I got to tell you, you were singing at that place. Well, I just applaud you for that, because I can lead music. I don't sing very well unless I've had a few, and I don't care, but I can lead music. I understand, the ictus, and I can lead music. And so, like the organist, they're supposed to, or the guitarist, whoever, they're supposed to follow my lead of how I lead the music as far as tempo and whatnot. And so for you to get up there and be able to perform like that with the band you've never even practiced with and do such a great job is quite remarkable.
Well, thank you. There's a story behind that. So that was the first time I'd ever been out of the country, right? So I went to Amsterdam, and I was like, oh, I can't believe it. I'm going to Germany, Amsterdam. And, Brandon had invited me to speak. And so I was sitting in the airport, and I had no idea what I was doing or anything. I couldn't speak any. And this lady walks up to me, and she said, excuse me, do you need help? And I thought, yeah, I guess I look like I got a big help on my forehead. And I met her, and she and her husband, she was picking up her husband, and they drove me to the hotel. I didn't have to take a cab or anything. So then they also decided to become friends with me, and I'm still friends to them right now to this day. And so we went out that night, and they just found out that I was a singer, and they said, why don't you just go up there and sit? I said, okay. And the backstory is that those musicians were actually musicians who actually play in an orchestra in Amsterdam. They were just kind of moonlighting on the side. So they were incredible musicians. I didn't play the whole song, but it was an experience, I have to tell you.
Right place at the right time.
I guess.
It's not the only time he's been at the right place at the right time.
There's a song out. There's Warren McDonald. Look. Glory be. Hey, Warren, how are you?
Time to go back to Portland, friend.
Yes. Now I've heard you sing before too now, but we won't talk about that in this meeting, right?
We did a little bit. We're still playing.
Yeah.
Doing a show with the Four Tops tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. music will change the world.
Always has.
Right. So I'm excited about study abroad, as you can already tell. I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours. And, you know, the students just really, 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 I can tell that they receive such information that many of them are still processing it, quite frankly, even when they come back. So.
Well, I definitely thank you for speaking today. And I think it gives us some ideas about how we can think about interprofessional education a little differently as we design our courses. And maybe it might be easiest to, rather than redesign our curriculum and things, is to maybe try to figure out how there maybe could be one special event or a special project, such as a virtual hospital, that we could incorporate a variety of our programs into. And really, you know, we could kind of come off of the project that Dean McNeil led with the nurse managed clinic, which was a virtual, which had people from a variety of programs, something like that with a virtual hospital. But then maybe we could have something, maybe truly in person, a special thing, especially since we have so many great contacts in the San Diego area, where we could bring people together in person to really have that. You know, I think life-changing experience is not an overstatement of what many of the students experience when they've gone to Osnabrück, Germany, or many of the other places that faculty like Dr. Piani has taken students. And I know study abroad was life-changing for me when I went as an MPH student. And yeah, so I think that, you know, that's a bigger one, but that would be a great opportunity. Anna has a question. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'm a new student to the school, so this is my first year, but I just wanted to jump on. I really enjoyed the video, and I have my background is in behavioral health, and I'm currently in the public administration program. So it will be fun to be a part of future trips where we can look at some of the behavioral health components and how policies drive those in other countries compared to the US. I would love to be a part of something like that.
Well, we would love to have you be a part of it. Did you say you're an MPH?
I'm a doctoral student. I've had a psychology license for like forever, not to age myself.
No.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
what you're doing here to me is like really exciting, and I know it sounds like it's more in the nursing or hospital type field, but I think behavioral health is a major piece of our community now.
Yes.
That it would be great to see how other societies kind of address some of those issues.
Yes. Well, you are absolutely welcome to reach out to me.
Okay.
I can give you my contact information, or I'm sure that you can find me. I'll put it in the chat. I'd love to talk with you. We are now
That'd be
starting
awesome.
the recruitment process to, if you're, you know, for next year. And, you know, I'm sure there's some potential way we could work something out. I know Dean Jones has been really, really supportive of this. I think she's gone out and she's gotten some scholarship funds and some other things too. So, you know, to take some of defray some of the costs from students. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing, Brandon, what we can do, everything that we do doesn't necessarily have to be you know, an academic thing. We could actually, because we're talking about having a meetup right now in San Diego with our students, our MHA students. But as I think about this, we should maybe invite the MPH students as well as the nursing students or the baccalaureate students, and have the students really kind of come together, you know, so it's nothing wrong with that as well. So that I say intercultural, but just interdisciplinary could be another way in which the students can get together, and it could be a social kind of thing too.
Yeah, I think so. I think starting with something small, social, a little relaxed can maybe be a catalyst for ideas. Especially, it'd be great if I think the best programs and things we have in our university are things when really our students take an initiative and have a passion for it. So I think that's a great idea.
I agree.
Okay, well, again, I want to thank everyone for attending. I know a few people had to leave early, but Dr. Jones, especially, thank you for being available. I'm new to the Interprofessional Education Committee, and I've taken on the role as a chair of this committee. And I just appreciate everyone for helping me out. But when I thought interprofessional education, I really thought about the program into Osnabrück, which I was a part of previously, and all the good work and feedback you've had for the last several years. I think going back almost getting close to 10 years now in terms of your time going to Osnabrück. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that and everyone's questions and attention. And like I said, I wish everybody a good rest of your day, your week, and we'll be getting together next month. We're working on a speaker right now for October. And if we don't happen to get someone, we'll send out an invite for November. So I appreciate everybody. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.